sitting on the floor in the corner of my apartment. I could hear my little baby and toddler upstairs crying out, but I couldn't move. And physically, there was nothing wrong with me. But mentally and emotionally, I had hit rock bottom. And over in my head came this voice that I'd been hearing over the last 6 months, but this time was even more powerful and persistent. I'm going to kill myself. I'm going to kill myself. I'm going to kill myself. Now, if you had told me 10 years before this that I would be diagnosed with postnatal depression, there is no way I would have believed you. I was the super positive, happy, joyful, life-be-in-it girl who would just dance up on the tables any chance she would get. I would never bother taking out an umbrella when there was a full black sky because I learnt from my mother, but look, over there's that little bit of blue. My girlfriends at school would joke that even if I was supposedly angry, I would have this really big smile on my face telling them how angry I was. And every morning I would get up when I was in school, an hour before I had to, and I'd go down to my garage, and I had this makeshift ballet studio because I was a dancer. So I had the lino on the floor, the little ballet bar on the wall, some mirrors set up, and I would dance. And there was no door on the garage, so I'd have all these people sort of walking past going, what the hell is that girl doing? But I did it because I loved it. I didn't care, and it made me feel so good. Fast forward to 2008, and I didn't even want to get out of bed in the morning. I didn't want to leave the house in the day. I would count down the hours until bedtime, and then I would dread the night that was ahead. You know, I thought arriving at motherhood would be this incredible, joyful time in my life. I mean, I had these amazing births, right? The first one, I was at home and I was labouring, and I said to, I was in a lot of pain, but I said to my husband, I think I need to push. Like, I think I can feel the head. And he had a look and he said, no, that's not the head, there's no hair. And he was been mucked around so much at the birthing classes, he kept telling me, no, we've got to wait for the contractions to become further apart before we go not closer together. And I was so paranoid that I get to the hospital anyway and they tell me, oh, you're in this much pain. No, you're only 1 centimetre dilated, you've got to go home. And so I waited till he left the room for a moment. Anyone who knows this feeling of what you feel like you need to push out, well, that's what I'm going to do. And I just knelt on the floor and I just pushed and pushed my baby, Stella, my first accidental home birth. Number 1. Number 2, I was staying at my parents' place, and my father was so paranoid I was going to have another home birth. Supposed to get to the hospital. He had the number for the helicopter sitting next to the phone, but I was labouring. I went, oh dear, quick, I better get down the stairs. It was in the middle of the night. I got my husband Felix to help me down, and I said, baby's coming. And so this time I stood up and I had one push and I held her and then knelt down and pushed the baby out there. Accidental home birth number 2. My friends then started calling me, my nickname became Push Push, or in very close circles, the magic vagina. So here I am at motherhood, thinking this was going to be a bit of a breeze. But what actually happened was I was lying one day, not long after this birth. I was not feeling very good at all, not how I thought I was going to be feeling. And this voice just popped into my head when Stella started crying and Ruby was asleep. And the voice said, I'm going to kill myself. And then any time that things started to get a bit rough or I felt stuck or anything, I'm going to kill myself. I was punching brick walls as I walked up the stairs to settle one of my kids. I stabbed this knife into the cutting board in my kitchen and chipped the top off the knife. I still haven't told my husband what happened to that knife. I never forget picking up Stella in this fit of rage and how she looked at me as I was shaking her, saying, "I can't do this anymore." And never would I imagine having a daughter who was terrified of me. I would hold my baby upstairs just at her bedroom window and fantasize about just throwing her out the window. I didn't know in that rock bottom moment that I hit that every 3 hours someone in Australia takes their life. And the number of women who are taking their life is on the up, and in the last 5 years has increased by 26%. All I thought there was something wrong with me and only me, that I was failing as a mother to not be enjoying every moment, failing as a wife because closing myself off from my husband, failing as a person, that I couldn't talk myself into being this calm, carefree earth mother who would just swan around her kitchen making muffins with these children wafting at her feet like I thought I was going to be. I didn't know that depression kills more people in Australia and the US than cancer. I just thought, who was I to be feeling like this with all that I had? Beautiful, healthy baby, a toddler, a husband, a house, food to eat, a family that I could call on. How dare I be feeling like this and not be able to be grateful for all that I had? I didn't know that if I was to call Lifeline, Beyond Blue, Black Dog Institute, PANDA, which is a Perinatal Anxiety and Depression Australia, that there is no way they would have told me, "Oh, sorry, you're not a good enough case, get over it." They would have taken what I had to say extremely seriously, but I told nobody because I was so ashamed at how I was feeling. I didn't tell my mum, my husband, my best friend. But I knew in a moment where Felix picked me up, held me by the hand and said to me in this voice that was trying very kindly to hold his desperation, "You know that you falling apart means that your whole family, our whole family, is falling apart." And that's what it took for me to know that I had to go and get some help. So feeling like an absolute failure, I went and made an appointment with my doctor. And when I was in there, I just totally expected her to tell me to get over it, and I was making it all up. But to my complete shock, she diagnosed me with postnatal depression and gave me a prescription for antidepressants. Before I left though, she said to me, "You know when you get on the plane and they tell you to put your oxygen mask on first before assisting others? That's what you have to do." So I arrived home knowing I only had a few minutes before my family was going to charge through the door. I put that prescription of antidepressants on my bedside table and sat down on my bed and just felt myself exhale like I hadn't done for a long time. There was something about seeing that piece of paper that made this all feel very real, like I wasn't making it up. And somehow in that moment, I decided I was going to try something else first, that I needed to find one thing that I could do every day before I took the antidepressants. And so, what could I possibly do? And I closed my eyes, and it was like this moment when you see the plane do these letters being written up in the sky, and I saw it. M-O-V-E, move. I had to move my body. I'd totally forgotten to do anything for myself. In fact, I didn't think you were supposed to do anything for yourself to feel good as a mother. I thought you were supposed to do everything for everyone else, and that's what made you the good mother, the perfect mother. So the next day, even though I thought this was the last thing I felt like doing, I went to my kitchen. I had a little Sesame Street show on for my girls, and I thought, right, ballet bar, kitchen bench, move. And so I put my feet together, and I just started doing a few of these pliés, leg bends. And then I took them further apart and did the grand plies. I started taking my leg up to the back, and I had this feeling start to really faintly bubble up inside of me, the feeling that I hadn't felt for so long. I hardly knew what it was. And then I realized it was hope. Here was a little something that I was doing that made me feel like I was achieving something, that gave me this little feeling of strength through my body, something that I could do every single day that would perhaps take me out of this rock bottom place that I was in. And so that's what I did. Every day, that little sense of achievement brought me back to my ballet bar, to my kitchen bench. And that moment is what I call my accidental home birth number 3. It was this birth of this change of mindset, that something, the little thing, can be so much better than nothing. It is so much better than nothing. And perhaps those smallest of steps, the smallest things, can be the thing that creates the biggest change. When we are all or nothing, like I certainly was, and you may and still am for a lot of things, and you certainly might resonate with that, when we wait till we can have the time or the motivation to go out for an hour walk, when we think, oh, well, if I can't do that 90-minute boxing class, then I can't do anything. We wait and we stay stuck. But when we take those little small steps, those little actions, that's what precedes motivation and brings us back into our power so that we can play the heroine in our own life, not the victim. So if you ever find yourself feeling stuck, like you don't know what to do, maybe your confidence is at rock bottom, you've lost faith in yourself, you've lost your mojo, you're depressed, you're feeling anxious, whatever that is, or if you are ever in your rock bottom moment, your version of that, when you were sitting on the floor saying to yourself, I'm going to kill myself, that is when you need to find your version of your oxygen mask. Put it on before assisting others. Take that big, deep breath and know that this one little small step will lead you to this, and then this, and then this, so that you can stand up, rise up, and for yourselves, for your families, your loved one, your community, for your world, and for every single woman in this room, you can be bold and you can be the change.
So thank you, Lizzy. Thank you. So before we announce the next speaker, I just want to give you an opportunity from whatever insights you got for yourself out of Lizzy's sharing her story tonight, any actions or things that you've gotten for yourself or anything you want to do. Use your notebook. Here's a chance to share with the person beside you what you got from that talk, and at the same time, just give Lizzy another big round of applause. Thank you.
I won't kiss you because, bit of makeup.